Hey girl, I'm Kylie Pax. After a lifetime of emotional eating, struggling with my weight, and being a serial dieter, I finally found the missing key to weight loss and I lost 20 kilos. Each week, I'll give you my no BS weight loss advice so you can sprinkle it over your life and your dinner plate and lose weight too. Everything I teach you is fluff-free. That means you'll learn simple strategies to master not only your weight, but your mindset as well. Girl, you get that in check and those extra kilos will never haunt your booty again. If you're ready to lose the weight for life, let's go. What is up, you gorgeous, fabulous creatures, and welcome to episode number 62 of the No BS Weight Loss Podcast. Today, girl, we are talking emotional eating, and y'all know I'm the queen of emotional eating. Don't come at me now. You might be out there thinking, but Kylie, I've got a really long history with emotional eating. I pretty much guarantee it is not as long, as brutal, and as much of a house of horrors as my story. And trust me, not that this is a prize that any of us want to be taking out. Believe me, I wish that I could hand this gold medal back to somebody else and burn it, like just incinerate the thing. But I'm going to fill you in a little bit on my journey today, how I broke up with 30 years of emotional eating, how it started and how it's going now. And then we're going to dive into three main causes that I've discovered. And this is the thing with emotional eating. It is just like our emotions. It's complex. It's deep. Like it is not just a one-stop shop for everybody. However, in all my years of dealing with my personal journey and then also helping hundreds of clients, I can see there are several sort of common threads, which we'll be talking through today. And if you've never heard my story before, I always tend to start off like this. If you've never heard my story before, this is how it rolled out. I started emotional eating from the time, so I've heard, my parents told me, I was really just a toddler, not even walking yet. And I was in a pram, a pusher, a stroller. I was in one of those things. And my parents were taking me on a little walk through the Botanic Gardens here in Australia. And I thought, how cute. Let's feed our little baby girl some meat pie. Like, this might be nice. Let's see if she likes the taste of this. And they gave me this meat pie in little pieces, and I kept eating it like a little bird. They just kept shoving it in my mouth until I ate the whole damn thing. And I think that was probably a nice prelude of what was coming for the rest of my life. I remember being sort of obsessed with food from a very young age, mainly sweets. When I was young, it was pretty much all sweets, but I would delve over to the sweet and to the salty and savory side as well. That's fine. I wasn't adverse to a salty and savory snack. But for me, it was pretty much always sugary sweets. And we get that now. Sugar lights up the same parts of the brain as crack cocaine. I mean, for fuck's sake. Of course, it's natural that not just me, but all of our young children would be honing in and looking for something sweet to eat. It's designed that way by nature. And we know this. We know that it's designed this way by nature so that as human beings, when we're frolicking around in the wilderness, we would eat sweet fruits and we knew that they were safe because they're tasty. But our brains now have been hijacked by the food industry and we just go crazy when it comes to sugary, sweet things. So I was pretty much just like a ferret my whole life, trying to dig out where the latest stash of sweets were in my parents' house. My brother and I used to eat a lot of them, so many, that we ended up having to sneak away to the shops and replace them before my mum found out so that we didn't get in trouble. But as I moved into my teen years, of course, you can get away with a ton of shit when you're a child that you can no longer get away with once your hormones kick in and you start hitting puberty. And suddenly I was filling out in places, yes, some of which I was supposed to be filling out and others of which were coming from the diet that I was subjecting myself to. Again, I really started to notice the feelings in my teens that it felt uncontrollable to me. It felt like I didn't have a handle on it. It felt like there was something wrong with my brain. And why can everybody else seem to eat quote unquote normally, but not me? I was obsessed with things like McDonald's and KFC and then the sundaes that we would get from there. And just any time I could eat junk food, I felt as if enough was never enough. There was literally no off button. And then as I moved into adulthood, it only escalated from there. As the trials and tribulations of adulthood life kicked in, they tended to trigger different reactions from my body, my emotional mind, my brain that sent me spiraling again down the rabbit hole of where is the next quick fix that I can find to alleviate the pain that I'm feeling now. Pain, discomfort, the breakup of a relationship, the wanting a new relationship, any of those things. We know the triggers, like I don't need to spell them out. Anything that causes you angst, shall we just say, let's go with angst. Anything that causes you some kind of angst. And it can also be a pleasure associated, like diversion. It can also be a pleasure associated diversion tactic whereby you turn to the food to celebrate. Well, now we're happy and now it's Christmas and now it's Hanukkah and now it's Festivus. So let's celebrate. So we dive in for those reasons as well. But in adulthood, I started really binge eating in my 20s and then purging. I would reach the stage when I was married then that I would just get so furious with myself for eating extreme amounts of food that I would just gather all the junk food up in the house, throw it in the bin. And then let's see, I hesitate here because it's embarrassing. Then I would get it out of the bin the next day because, you know, you're all like in your zone and in your element when you're like, I'm throwing this food out. Look at me. I'm a powerful diva. And I would throw the food in the bin. But the next day, the minute I wanted something sweet or sugary or salty the next day, I was in that bin, girls. I was in the bin and I was taking the food back out and I was eating the damn food, you know, bin food. I mean, you know, you've hit a new low when you're eating bin food, but you know, it's part of the desperation that comes with emotional eating. It's not just emotional. I feel sad. I feel glad. I feel happy. I feel mad. It's a real sense of despair and desperation at times. And that's what I was going through. I was suicidal over this because I truly felt like I was broken. I remember crying to my girlfriend and just saying, there is something wrong with me. I'm the most ugliest creature in the world. And this is what I really want you to get. It's so much more than just food. And it wasn't just food. It wasn't just my relationship with food, my inability to feel that I could control my relationship with food. It went right down to the core of who I was and who I believed myself to be as a woman. I felt that I was uglier than a sewer monster. Like, I truly did feel that I was despicable from the inside out. Not from the outside in, like, oh, I don't think I'm very attractive. No, I felt that I was vile and evil and just hideous and disgusting from the inside out, which makes it a very permeating problem because what can I do about my internal situation? Like, that's really some serious shit. And so I then started getting very, very depressed over all of this. I remember going to the GP and sitting across from her in her office, just sobbing, tears streaming down my cheeks. And she said, what is the problem? And I said, I feel that I am so inexplicably ugly and vile that I don't deserve to live. And she stared at me across her desk with this look of, I can only just say confusion, that she literally had no idea how to handle this situation. She didn't know what to say. She certainly didn't know what to say, and she couldn't relate in any respect. And this is why I created this community. This is why I'm so passionate about this community. And this is why I continue to send this message out into the community, is because so many women deal with these deep, dark, hideous secrets, and we don't tell a soul because we're ashamed and we're embarrassed. And the biggest lie of all, we think it's only us. Nobody else has this problem, just me. I am the super freak of nature. I am the vile and disgusting one that is unlovable, that will never become successful, that will certainly never be attractive or is now in any capacity. Like, I'm the one, I'm the special fucking chosen one that will never make it in life. And this is the story we tell ourselves on repeat. And this is why I'm bringing this episode to you today. Normally, you hear me and I'm very upbeat and it's really funny and it's quite comical and we have a great time. Today's episode is a little bit more serious because it really gets down to the soul of what we feel as women. And I use the word feel very purposely because it's emotional. Like we say, emotional eating. It is deeply emotional. We are deeply emotional beings. We have deep feelings about so many different issues. And unlike men who tend to just skirt across the top of things, we often don't. We have to dive down and dive in and get every last tiny little skerrick out of something before we can let it go. So as I say to you, it was an immense struggle for me for the majority of my life. When I hit absolute rock bottom, I decided I'm done with this. I will not be fat, is what I would tell myself. I will not be fat one more day. I'm just fucking done with this, living this half-assed life and making a half in, half out effort to lose weight. I was very into the natural side of medicine, how you take care of yourself naturally, homeopathics, this type of thing. I have suffered from my early 20s with a thyroid condition, with hypothyroidism. So everything in my body operates at a snail's pace. Absolutely everything operates at a snail's pace. So yay for me, it's extra fucking hard to lose weight. Like, give me the clapping hand emojis. As if life isn't hard enough. Give me hypothyroidism, please. Make my metabolism crawl along like a slug. That's what I want. So with hypothyroidism, it runs in my family. My brother and I both have it. And sure, we went on medication, very helpful, it's fantastic, but it doesn't really solve, well, it doesn't solve the source of the problem. It helps to manage your symptoms. It doesn't solve the source of the problem. So I was gaining extra weight, getting very depressed, and I decided, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to go on a juice cleanse. That's what I would tell myself. I'm going to go on a juice cleanse. And I chose an amount of time. I chose 40 days because I had this just feeling. I'm like, well, Jesus was in the desert for 40 days. So that's like a really magical biblical number. And I'm going to do the same thing. So there must be if I can juice fast for 40 days, that gives me a direct nexus between me and God. And I thought for sure I'm going to heal my thyroid condition and every single ailment that my body could ever have now and for the rest of my life. I wanted to achieve this epitome of health so that when I walked down the street, I wanted my skin to fucking glow like a fluoro light. I wanted to glow like a fluorescent light so that people would have to wear their sunglasses to look at me because I was so damn healthy. So I did this thing. I juice fasted for 40 days. Scary, I tell you, but I will tell you this one thing. I did go to my health practitioner. I went to the GP and I told her what I intended to do. I said, I'm going to juice fast for 40 days because I wanted, if I was going to be a complete idiot, I wanted to be an idiot under medical supervision. So I went to the GP. I said, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to juice fast for 40 days. She highly discouraged me, but she said, if you insist on doing it, then yes, I was to come in every week and she would sort of measure me and make sure, do my bloods, make sure everything was okay. I wasn't about to drop dead. So I did it. I did it for 40 days, please. And I'm not endorsing this, people. Let me just put this right on out there now. I am not by any means endorsing this. I am sharing with you my personal experience. So let me proceed. I did this for 40 days. But to be fair, it was so hard for somebody who suffers with emotional eating. It was so hard and traumatic that before the cleanse was even finished, I was stashing away like Snickers bars and all kinds of things. Well, when I finish, I'm going to eat all these things. And so I had this stash of shit food that I was preparing to eat the minute that the cleanse was over. Seriously, if you're going to do a cleanse, what is the fucking point if you're going to stuff your face with junk food as soon as it's over? So I did it. And I remember my husband at the time coming home, I did it during winter. Again, another stupid call. He came home with fish and chips and chicken and chips and would eat these things, eat them in front of me. And I was just like, I'm going to kill somebody. But seriously, they do also say that when you do a juice cleanse, your body adjusts and then you fall into like this state whereby you no longer feel hunger. I'm telling you from my personal experience, I was fucking starving for 40 days. My hunger did not go away. I was starving every single moment of every single day. That was hideous. I did hate it. And I did lose weight. I lost about 10 kilos. And the problem was, although I didn't initially start out telling myself I'm going to do this and I'm going to lose a ton of weight, as the weight did start to come off, it became less about healing my thyroid and more about, this seems fun. How much weight can I lose? Now, it ended after the 40 days and I did immediately stuff my face with chocolate and chips and I felt very sick, very, very sick. I then also could not eat almost anything for about 2 weeks, another 14 days. I was living on, I remember, avocados and just really things that were very easy to digest, and my body was craving fats. Because let me be clear, I didn't have any juice, juice. Of course I had juice. I didn't have any fruit juice in my juice cleanse. I had only vegetable juice because I was like, oh, fruit juice, no, that's the devil. Get rid of that. So I only had vegetable juices during this juice cleanse, and my body was craving fat like nobody's business. I was eating tahini and avocados for weeks on end because my body was craving immense amount of fat. Of course it was. I had eaten nothing but vegetable juices for 40 days. No carbs, no fats, nothing that can offer my body what it actually needed to produce healthy hormones. So my hormones were fucked up. My body was quite fucked up. I had cannibalized almost every muscle that was left in my body, and I looked and felt like shit, quite frankly. I was skinny, but fat skinny. I was skinny, but I was fat skinny, as in I was still wobbly. Nothing was toned. Everything was sort of jiggly and nasty, but I was skinny like a stick insect. Not healthy skinny, not, oh, she looks nice and slim and she looks healthy. No. Strangers were stopping me in the street because my skin was pale. I wanted skin that was glowing. I was fucking glowing. I was white as a ghost. I was like anemic. There was so many problems that came out the other end of this juice fast that it wasn't worth it in any capacity. And can we just say, just because you're probably wondering, well, did she end up healing her thyroid? No, the thyroid issue did not change one iota. It stayed exactly the same. And still to this day, I have to take my medication every day to help manage my thyroid. So with all of this going on, you would think, wow, so is that how her story ends? After that juice cleanse, she ended up breaking up with emotional eating and everything was fine? No, honey, no. It made my journey with emotional eating 10x worse. I was afraid to eat anything because now I was terrified of gaining weight, even though I badly needed to. I was completely and utterly terrified of gaining weight. And so I would eat crumbs every day, literally. Like I would eat tiny little nibbles of some carrot or some celery or something like that, which I don't even fucking like celery. I hate it. But I was trying to find low-cal foods, and I did that for, I think, a year and a half. If you want to know a torturous way to live, it's starving yourself for 40 days and then continuing that for another 18 months. It was really bad. Like, quite frankly, it was really bad. And I eventually started eating normally, quote unquote normally. And of course, I started to gain the weight back. I was terrified, but I knew it had to be done. And at that point, I thought, I simply cannot live this way anymore. I had fallen into a deep depression, and I now had to go on medication for that because it was like so serious. And I thought, if this is what it is, if this is what life is about, I literally don't want any part of it. And I decided to assess my personal situation. What did I actually want from this journey that we call life? What was I currently generating and what was I wanting to generate? Where was the gap and how could it be filled? And I promise, assure you, and like kiss your feet, I'm telling you the truth, it was not filled by being skinny. If you think that, well, you lost weight, surely weren't you happy? No, my obsession went from, listen, this is how it was for me previously. I hate my fat legs. My legs are fat. That's just how I'm at. Well, I'm just using the word fat for ease of explanation, right? My legs are bigger. Let's clarify. My legs are bigger. They've always been bigger. That's where I hold my weight. I can be skinny as you like up the top, but I'm always going to be bigger on the bottom. It's the way my body is designed, right? If someone's got a problem with it, they're going to have to take it up with God, because that is how I am designed. And me trying to battle and fight against that is a futile exercise. So I knew that I was always going to be bigger on the bottom. And when I did this juice fast, I finally, for the very first time, had skinny legs. Woo, skinny legs. I was like prancing around in my little skirts and feeling amazing. But here's the thing. My obsession with the different parts of my body that I was non-receptive to shifted from, well, now I don't hate my legs, but now, oh my God, look at my tiny little skinny arms. I've lost all my boobs. Like, I hated all of the top part of my body now. The part that previously had been the only part that I could stomach was now the part that I hated the most. When you don't work on the reasons that you have an issue and a problem with certain body parts, you are only going to transfer that distrust, distaste, dislike from one area to another if you don't deal with the actual problem to start with. So as we move forward today, I'm going to give you 3 of the main reasons why we do deal and struggle with emotional eating. And hopefully as I do, and after you've heard my story, you can have some insight and glean, do you like that one? You can glean something from it. And what I really hope that you do take away is that there is no quick fix. There is no instant solution. But what there is you making a decision to be better within yourself. And when I say better, what I really mean is make choices that you feel really, really fucking good about. Because the main and first reason why we still struggle with emotional eating after all this time and all these lessons and all these years is because we are either trying to generate a feeling or we are trying to escape a feeling. If we're trying to generate a certain feeling, it might be, I want to feel, it's usually because this is human nature and this is science, not making this up. We always are in search of feeling good. So if you're feeling bad, then you are going to want to do something about that. That's just nature. Nobody wants to sit around feeling bad. You're going to want to feel better. What are the quickest, fastest ways to do that? You could drink alcohol. You could gamble. You could smoke. You could do drugs. You could have sex. But really, the quickest, fastest way? Please grab some ice cream out the freezer, girl. Grab yourself a tub of ice cream and a spoon and you're set to go. It's so easy these days to generate good feelings. The other way that we try and do it is we want to try and stop feeling what we're currently feeling, which again would be the same sort of thing in reverse. I'm feeling bad. I don't want to feel bad. So now I need to do something to make myself feel better. Or you are feeling good and you want to keep that good feeling going. Like, this meal is so, so delicious. I don't want it to end. And we keep eating even though we know we are full and then even quite full, but we want the good feeling to keep going, which we know scientifically is simply not possible. It's not possible. The first few bites of any food that you taste are always going to be the most ecstatic in your mouth. After that, the pleasure declines at a rapid rate. Why would it do that? Because otherwise, you would eat yourself to damn death. Of course, it has to happen that way. You get the first few bites are going to taste amazing. Your taste buds are fresh. It's incredible. But as your taste buds start to numb down after, let's say even 10 bites, it's not tasting the same to you. But we think, but it was so good 2 seconds ago. More must be better. No, more is just more. And if your body doesn't need more, which it rarely does, that more is going to end up on your booty, and you know that it's true. The second reason that we often still emotionally eat, even though we know better, is because of what I described in my earlier story. It's anxiety and depression. It is such a common factor these days. The lifestyles that we live, the stresses that we are under, it causes huge and immense amount of anxiety. And then we swing and oscillate between anxiety and depression because you can't sort of stay in one place too long. So we get very anxious about something. We're scared, we're worried, we're upset. And then because you can't stay there forever, because it's such a high stress position to put yourself in, we eventually have to deflate and we move down the scale to depression. This is never going to work. I'll never overcome this. Why do I even bother? Nobody will ever love me. This will never happen for me. And then eventually we sort of rile ourselves up, get ourselves going again. Okay, I'm going to do something. And we try to do something, quote unquote, and we end up again back in a state of anxiety because we're pushing ourselves in a way that we were never designed or meant to be pushed. Now, you know, this is different for everybody. Some people are very type A personalities. I'm very type A. I'm like, go, don't waste my time, cut to the chase of the story. I don't have time for this nonsense. I'm like that, but I'm also not high vibe, high energy 24/7. I know some women that can just pull this off and they befuddle me. I wish I could have some of I want their energy, but I don't have it. But you know what I do have? The ability to generate it myself. Some women are naturally like that. That's fucking amazing. Let's all send them the clapping hand emojis. But for the rest of us, mere people, mere humans, and fabulous women that we are, you may have to generate it yourself. Don't be fooled and think that you can't Of course you fucking can. It is a decision. If you can sit there and decide to sit there in anxiety and depression, you can also decide to do something about it. Now, again, don't all come at me because I, to this day, take medication for my depression. It runs in my family. It runs generationally in my family, to be fair. And when it happened to me, I really do understand for the first time, because before that I was very ignorant, very much like a lot of society. I was ignorant, and I thought, what is with these people that are depressed? Like, can't they just get out of bed? Well, once I experienced it for my damn self, I knew, well, that is the most ridiculous thing you could ever say to somebody who's really, really chronically depressed. I'm not talking about you're having a down day or a bad day. I'm talking about chronic medical depression. Just telling them to smile and it will be okay could potentially send them over the edge. You just cannot deal with it that way. So as I say, if anyone wants to reach out for me, I will leave some resources in the links below. You are more than welcome to talk to me. I will happily share my story and the way that I have dealt with this, because yes, I do still take medication for it to this day. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Like, in fact, I'm happy to share it, because I think the more women do, the more we give permission to the next woman to say, oh shit, maybe I can take control of this situation for myself. It's not to say that medication is right for everybody. In the end, it had to be right for me, because it was either that or I was going to leave the planet. So I chose medication. Now, the third reason that we really do still turn to food and emotionally eat, even though we know so much better, is plain and simple, flat out stress. We are so fucking stressed. We are expected, and I will just say this, I will raise a hand and happily say, we are expected as a society to be this incredible Wonder Woman who works a full-time job, if not more. If you're a single mother, probably more, own their own property, have all these sexy relationships and all this sexy time in the bedroom, run a fucking social media account, because if you're not on social, like, really, who are you? You've got to be posting pictures. You've got to be doing all these things. You've got to be a whiz in the kitchen, a sex goddess in the bedroom. And seriously, most of us are raising children at the same damn time. This is a massive, like, what the fuck situation. Can I just say, men have all the fucking time in the world to have their midlife crisis. We women literally do not have time for that shit. Those men are out there having their little affairs and buying their sports cars and be like, ooh, I'm having my midlife crisis. Well, good fucking luck to you, mate. Us women are over here dealing with menopause, hormones, irregular periods, pregnancy, baby blues. We are going through all of these things. And we are no fucking help from the opposite sex. They are clueless. They are ignorant. And I'm probably going to get a shit ton of hate for this, but I'm still putting it out there. They have a tendency to be a little selfish when it comes to this. We would love to have a midlife crisis, but we don't have time for that shit. We are too busy raising the children, looking after the household, working the job, bringing home the bacon, honey. So kudos to you. You want to go out there, have your fucking midlife crisis? Off you go, sunshine. We're going to be here taking care of business. So after that little rant, what is the solution to breaking up with emotional eating, especially when you know so much better? So many of the women that I work with, the women that are listening to this podcast right now, honey, please tell me, raise a little hand right where you're standing. You know exactly what to do. You've done the courses, you've bought the damn books. Why are you not doing what it is that you know to do? And I can tell you there's one really good solution. A decision must be made at some point and a line must be drawn in the sand. It is time for you to step into your personal power. Now, I looked at this recently because this is a bit of a buzzword and a hashtaggy thing, and you see it thrown around. Step into your personal power. Fucking Tony Robbins got a whole thing, personal power. It's fan-fucking-tastic, mate. But what is personal power? It is the ability to influence the outcomes in your life via your personal self-efficacy, which is your belief in your ability to execute the behaviors necessary to reach your damn goals. We are not standing or even pretending to step into our personal power at all. We are giving our power away to whatever is around us. This food is too much for me to resist. I cannot resist it. I must eat it. That is you giving your personal power to the chocolate cake. I can't live without that boyfriend. I can't live without my partner. No, Sheila, I just love her too much. I can't be without her. That is you giving away your personal power to another fucking human being. If you think there is anything that you do not have the ability to influence, I'm going to correct you right now because you're just flat out wrong. You have the ability to influence almost every single outcome in your life through your decision-making process. If you decide that you are helpless and unable to do anything, you will remain forever. I'll come visit you in 10 years' time. You'll be helpless and fucking unable to do the thing. But if you decide that I will find a way, if you decide that the resources and the tools and the mentors that I need are exactly there and where I need them to be, and I'm going to find them now, then that will be the case. When you draw a line in the sand and you say, this line will not be crossed, then you step forward into your future. And this is what I really want you to get and understand today. Honey, you can make excuses all fucking day long. It's not the right time. I've got my period. The weather is too hot. The weather is too cold. I'm going to start after the holidays. That's great. But what are you going to say to the version of you that is 6 months down the track and she's waiting for you to step up and make a move? If you want to know more about how you can lose your weight without the stress and anxiety of dieting, head on over kyliepax.com/free course where I give you my 4-part video series on exactly what I did to lose that 20 kilos and keep it off. And as always, please do remember the only person who has the power to change your life is you. When you step into your personal power and use your self-efficacy to change the things that need to be changed in your life, that is 100% when, without a doubt, and nobody can argue it, you've got what it takes. So I'm sending you tremendous amounts of love. I will see you again next week. Until then, my gorgeous ones, bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to shimmy your butt over to kyliepax.com/free course and sign up for my free weight loss training so you can start losing your weight now. You'll also find helpful notes and resources in my past podcasts that will help you lose your weight without the BS diet drama. I'll see you next week.